Hey. That's it. My position is personal, and it couldn't be simpler. You bet it's personal, because I'm the one who will pay the price for what I will and what I won't do. The Yankees, they can debate this all they want. To me, it's not debatable. They can pass whatever edicts they like, and I'll oppose them, and I'll fight them. Ultimately, my choice is that I'll not obey them. And I'm done backing up and compromising. Okay? It may seem funny asking some guy from Ohio, I heard they were asking who's here from the various states, and I'm here from Ohio, and it may seem funny asking me to come and address a rally in Connecticut. I would like to share I do have a connection. The part of the state I live in is called the Western Reserve. And that was once a portion of land claimed by the colony of and later by the state of Connecticut. And as a matter of fact, my neighborhood in Hudson is called the Connecticut Colony. And the entire area is rich in history, including in the struggle against human slavery, which is really what those claiming the power to control you and dispose of you is all about. I live just around the corner from John Brown's old tannery farm, and say what you will about the man's tactics and his legacy, it does show that some conditions demand defiance if no other means exist. And that, of course, was the situation that led to the original War of the Rebellion against the king. People would not put up with what they came to view as the intolerable acts. Oh, they did for a while, until the damn fools came for the guns. Note that I did not call it the Revolutionary War, because the true revolution was ideological. The realization that free men don't need rulers, that the function of government is to secure the blessings of liberty, and that we, each of us, have certain unalienable rights endowed by our Creator, rights which cannot be legitimately taken away from us by a tyranny of the majority, as now exists in some areas that identify themselves by that most Orwellian of terms, progressive. Okay, you know, war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. I have a saying I use on my blog, The War on Guns Notes from the Resistance, that I've yet to see refuted. With progressives, every day is opposite day. Because what's progressive about telling others who are harming no one what they must and must not do, and what they can and cannot have? What's progressive about creating a whole new class of criminals, and I have that word in quotation marks, for refusing to obey edicts founded in ignorance, prejudice, and the desire to rule others? I wrote an article for Guns Magazine recently, that's the one in this issue here, in the Rights Watch column, and I titled it The Unconstitutional State. It's obviously a play on Connecticut's nickname. It started out referring to a line that you folks here are more than familiar with, the one in front of the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection building, where gun owners came on the last day of 2013 to register their guns and magazines with the DESS Parados in order to comply with the perversely named Gun Violence Prevention and Child Safety Act. Making them do that was an intentional indignity, and that such legislation would do nothing to advance its stated purpose, and would instead make things less safe for the law-abiding. That did not matter to those imposing their will. That was just another oxymoron that calculating minds right here in Hartford no doubt took additional pleasure in. Progressives, opposite day, remember? The vocal reaction now, this is the thing. Now, we've talked about the gun owners from other states, and you folks experienced the brunt of it. And it actually horrified me, because some of them was unsympathetic. They did not have to face the terrible choice that you do here. And there were accusations. There were people throwing around words like cowardice. And this was coming from internet commentators posting under screen names, and isn't that telling? And that making such charges they've never been put to the test themselves, and that seemed lost on the most aggressive, that is the most ignorant and the judgmental among them. And as an aside, I'd like to share something with you. That even though I'm an outsider, I can tell you that I know what it's like to be put to that test. Because I was living in California when they passed a law requiring us to register our assault weapons, okay? And I went to a meeting where the California Department of Justice distributed the registration cards. They told us that we had to fill out, and they used the keyword submit. That is, basically, it was a meeting where they dictated to us the terms of our surrender. Okay, well, I went with two of my friends, the fellow troublemakers, and in front of hundreds, we tore up the damn card and told them in no uncertain terms that would be the only one they got from us. Now, we did it. We did it knowing full well we were putting ourselves out there for scrutiny and more. And I'll never forget this one woman, and I promised my wife, I had this written into the speech, she goes, oh please, in front of all those people, don't call her a cud chewer, so, okay honey, I won't. Okay.
You're a friend of mine.
But she calls out, sir, they don't speak for us. And I thought, you know, yeah, I sure don't, lady. Remember, I told you at the beginning, I speak only for me. Anyway, if you'd like to learn more about that, if you do a search on my name along with the professional face of evil, you'll get the details on that little encounter if you're interested in learning more. But it struck me then, it strikes me now, it's a hell of a choice to force a person to make. But back to some of these finger pointers who don't understand, who haven't been put to the test. If one is to be laid blame on anyone outside of the evil citizen disarmament demanders, and what a word that is that the Bloomberg people use, and their useful idiot enablers, many gun owners would do well to look at the direction of three of their fingers whenever they point one at others. Because after all, how many of them have filled out Form 4473s or applied for permits to carry their guns? And truthfully, in light of shall not be infringed, those are acts of compromise and surrender. It is. So for them to be pointing the finger at you is absolutely wrong. But now what I'd like to do is I'd like to give you a practical example of something that I call profiles in apathy. I came up with that term years ago after watching worthy project after worthy project fall by the wayside due to lack of gun owner involvement. And I want to tell you why I think it's every bit the enemy that the most committed of gun grabbers are. Where's Lenny Benedetto? Is Lenny around? Okay, yeah, Lenny, founding member of the Connecticut Citizens Defense League, the folks that are responsible for bringing us all here today. They're the state's largest grassroots gun rights group. And as you know, they're leading in the lawsuit along with that NRA to challenge the new law, but I don't need to tell anyone here that, because we all know. Anyway, Lenny spent several hours that morning passing out CCDL cards and talking to those standing in line before a police lieutenant ordered him to stop or be arrested for soliciting, and he soon found, this was amazing, that the vast majority of those in line were not members, and many had never even heard of CCDL. Let me ask you something. If CCDL had 10, 20, 100 times the committed membership, might the new laws have been stopped in their tracks? They were going to push it through no matter what, but if you guys had 100 times the people that were committed to work for polls, to work for politicians, to fund lawsuits, to do everything that's needed to get the word out, I submit we'd have a different picture. But it's the level of detachment, apathy, and non-involvement, and it's hardly exclusive to Connecticut, because the same story could be told by the leadership of any number of state gun rights groups where it's always a core of dedicated individuals straining to bear a load that could be shared by many, but somehow it never is. Well, that's true, but you know what? We all have jobs. I submit that everyone who belongs to the NRA has a job as well. And we're the ones out there, but look at it, of the 80 million gun owners, something like 5 million are members of the NRA. Look at how few have joined. How many fewer support much smaller groups like Gun Owners of America and the Second Amendment Foundation, or educational groups like Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership? This has to change, and immediately. Why? Well, what are we here for today? If a lot more gun owners don't get involved, perhaps the bold chat room warriors that I referred to earlier will get the chance to demonstrate to their brethren here in Connecticut how much better they'll perform when it's their turn to show the stuff they're made of. So, what is it that we do? Okay? What is it that we do? First, we join with others, like we're doing right now. Look, if you don't like one group, find one you can support. You don't like lobbying, find a group that educates. And that means support them, including financially. You know, we heard about the lawsuit. Very expensive proposition. And yeah, times are tough. I understand that. Times are tough on all of us. Do what you can, but don't let others who are also strapped do it all. What else? Some of you are going to be better suited to taking people shooting, training the next generation. I don't know, what is it that you find rewarding? What is it that you're enthusiastic doing? Do that. Some of you will find your talents best expressed in writing, and there's plenty of need to get well-written letters to the editor out there to correct the foaming at the mouth bias. But enough of the Hartford Current. Actually not. I told you I continued to rewrite the speech, and so this part here, I've got to bear in and make sure my ant fryers here are focused and get into my handwritten scribbling and see if I can decide